Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com, and in this video we're looking at a watch from Certina with their PH200M dive watch. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as a full authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout the video, if you have any further questions or looking to buy the watch, a link will be in the description down below to the product page. But guys, let's jump into the video and take a closer look at the Certina. So if you're familiar with any of my videos, and in particular my dive watch content, you might recall us mentioning a brand known as Certina, a Swiss maker that is relatively unknown outside of Europe, at least for now, but they should be known much more. As an abbreviated background, Certina has deep roots dating back to 1888, with one of their most significant horological achievements coming in 1959 with the DS, or double security case concept, that encapsulated the caliber within a shock-absorbing ring intended to alleviate the negative effects of hard knocks on the movement's timekeeping abilities. In addition, the crown system had its own proprietary approach for offering a watertight seal, enabling 200 meters of water resistance in a decade when dive watches were just getting off the ground. Historically speaking, the DS family is most closely associated with the underwater world, with the DS2 Super PH200M having been utilized in the US government's Tektite underwater habitat trials in 1969 and 1970, with the DS3 Super PH200M serving as the issue watch of choice for the Royal Australian Navy clearance divers for the better part of the 1970s. Compared to other players in this price range, Certina's historical diving associations help lend to a heightened sense of legitimacy to Certina's modern DS collection. And today we'll be taking a look at the DS PH200M, a heritage-inspired yet capable diver based on a reference of the same name that debuted back in 1967. The modern PH200M dates to 2018, with some of its design inspiration coming from a Certina expert in the enthusiast community, which is always a cool story to tell. And for me, this is one of the single best options for a vintage style dive watch from Switzerland for its price at just under $1,000. Now, starting with an overview of the wearing experience presented by this watch, it comes in with a sizable 42.8mm case paired with a broad 51.7mm lug-to-lug measurement. And while those numbers are likely to exclude some of the smallest wrist out there, the slender 12.1mm in height does help reel this one in a bit. And the brand does offer a number of smaller watches intended for diving, including the excellent Action Diver 38mm, which I have recently reviewed as well. With slabbed off vertical case sides reminiscent of the Tudor Black Bay, the DS200M wears true to size despite the visual real estate being occupied by the intriguing bezel that we will certainly get to shortly. Set between 20mm lugs, the wearing experience is further enhanced by the use of a Milanese style mesh bracelet that does not taper, terminating with a series of removable links intended to match the mesh motif while closing with a push button operated butterfly style clasp. Given the heritage design format, the mesh makes a lot of sense aesthetically while being comfortable to wear, but the use of the butterfly style clasp does limit micro adjustment capabilities and also doesn't fit theoretically every intended diving use case. Luckily though, this one does sing on a nylon style strap, and at 20mm you will be in no short supply of options. The case finishing is relatively simple in that the entire case is polished and the architecture is straightforward, with 90-degree angles separating the case top from the sides along the lugs that curve towards the wearer. Resting on top, we have a 120-click unidirectional elapsed time bezel with a very fun ceramic insert that is domed and highly polished while being demarcated with engraved and filled indices. The bezel action very solid with audible clicks and little to no backplay. At 3, a 6.3mm screw-down crown is complete with the Certina signature and pairs with the screw-down case back and providing this watch's 200 meters of water resistance rating, a source for the model name in general. And the PH stands for pressure hydrostatique, French for water pressure. A cool note about this case is that this watch operates using the original 1959 DS concept with a rubber ring around the movement and another surrounding the dial. Moving to the crystal, we have one of the more intriguing profiles I have seen in some time, offering a sharp dome at its outer circumference with almost a perfectly flat center, likely intended to limit the thickness of the watch as a whole. Anti-reflective coating is utilized on the crystal's underside, but the funky shape still does make for some distortions at times. Working in tandem with the more extreme crystal profile is what perhaps appears to be the white shafter ring at the dial outskirts, but it is actually evidence of a gasket that is part of the modernized DS system. The visual effect is that the dial appears smaller, set within the wider white boundary, which does help the broader profile presented by this watch as a whole. The dial itself has a gloss black central surface with the rectangular white lume plots acting as hour indices. A rose-colored crosshair motif adds interest while pairing with the broad sword-style handset that is reminiscent of not only this model's ancestors, but also other icons like the Omega Seamaster 300. The Superluminova utilized in this piece glows blue with some solid intensity, while falling behind some other legends in the space like Seiko, for example. At 3, a simple black on white date disc is visible beneath a framed aperture, and dial text is limited to the brand wordmark and automatic at noon, with DS and PH200M at 6. Like the case, the dial finishing is adequate, but nothing exceptional, more just straightforward and getting the job done, but does exactly and faithfully recreate the vibe of the vintage Certina models in a way that feels up to date. And if you are one of the wild people that will actually dive with this watch, you could 100% do it. Now, turning the DS200M over, we do have an exhibition case back showcasing the ETA caliber on the inside. Now, positioned as part of the Swatch Group, Certina enjoys the exclusive access to the Powermatic calibers, along with sibling brands like Tissot, Hamilton, and Mito. Now, this movement features an impressive 80-hour power reserve achieved by slowing the beat rate from 4 Hz, 28,800 vibrations per hour, to 3 Hz, 21,600 vibrations per hour, while also lightly reworking certain aspects of the gear train in the process. This movement family is partially responsible for leading the way to the now industry-wide trend to longer power reserves, and in addition, the balance assembly has been modified from a traditional regulator pin setup to more of a free-sprung balance architecture, with the movements being fine-tuned and regulated at the factory before being sent out. As a further value add over the least expensive versions of the Powermatic 80, this is the .611 version of the C07 caliber, also offering a non-metallic Nivacron hairspring to help alleviate the negative effects of magnetism on the balance. Finally, these calibers also have a habit of being well regulated, with this example keeping excellent time at -1 to +4 seconds a day. And while you can't take those numbers to the bank, it's far from the first time I've seen a finely regulated Powermatic caliber. In terms of general operation here, you're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hz. It does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and a power reserve of 80 hours. So not to unpack looking at the Certina PH200M, some of the more negative side, fully polished case looks great when you first get it, but sometimes it will show wear much more than a brush case. Depends on what you care about. I am not somebody that will mind too much showing the wear and tear of a watch, but if you're somebody that does not like a scratch, probably not be the watch for you. Also, lesser known brand. I mean, Certina is well established in many parts of the world. It's actually one of the leading brands in Nordic countries and Europe, has the backing of the Swatch Group, cool history. But for those out there, they might want a brand with a little bit more cachet and being known. So it just depends on where you're at with that type of equation. Now shifting over to some of the pros, heritage is there, although maybe not understood by many, it is 100% established. When you're talking about dive watch credibility, Certina has it. DS concept is something very interesting. It's unique. It's a part of their brand DNA. The design here is very much their own and their own taste. Lume is very solid across the board. Powermatic 80 on the inside. And then in general, when you're talking about maybe some of the best value in the world of Swiss dive watches under $1,000, this could be one of those just staples for maybe some of the best value you're going to find for a Swiss-made dive watch. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That does help out the channel. And also, if you're in the market for the watch featured here, we do have it available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. And how we're able to fund all the productions here, as well as on our main channel, is through selling watches on our site. So if you want to support the content, you're in the market for a watch, we would love to have your business because it allows us to keep doing what we're doing here, and we love what we do. But guys, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.